Welcome to Criminal Minds, a comedic true crime watch-along podcast where we watch Criminal Minds, all 15 seasons, and discuss the true crime that can be linked, however indirectly, to the episode. We're your hosts, Stacey Johnson and Veronica Shea, and this week we're joined by Alyssa Poteet in discussing Season 2, Episode 5, Aftermath.
Oh, we have no plan. When have we ever had a plan,
When
Alyssa?
have we ever had a plan?
She's like, we're gonna press record and see what happens. We're opening a book of witches spells and just trying them out.
Yeah, let's fuck around and find out.
Just fuck it.
Alyssa, thank you so much for coming back to us.
Thank you for having me. It was so fun last time.
Okay, so we're on to talk about Season 2, episode... I didn't write it down. It's fine. I got this. Episode 5, Aftermath. I'm going to do the show recap, and then we'll reconvene and see where we're at.
Sick.
The team is working after hours, and there's a serial rapist in Ohio targeting young women attending a religious college, and he has resurfaced after 3 months, and now he's targeting women in their late 30s. There have been 2 attacks that happened 5 days apart, and he was waiting for them in their house when they got home. He leaves them voicemails, and as the team wheels up, a 3rd victim is attacked in her home after hearing a voicemail. So a lot happens in the cold open. They profile.
I always love when they jam pack so much in.
They're like, let's go, guys. We have so much to cover.
We have so much to do in 30 seconds.
Yeah, well, I mean, this dude, he's like been raping and murdering for decades. Yeah, how do you
It's
even...
like, let's go.
Yeah.
So they profile him as a power reassurance rapist. To him, his voicemails are like love letters to his victims. It's determined that he has to have stalked them previously to know what he knows about them, to know their routines. And most importantly, something had to have happened to make him change his victimology from college students to middle-aged women, because most serial rapists don't change their fantasies.
Oh, interesting.
Dun, dun, dun. So they get to the police station in Ohio, and they meet a very spicy lead detective on the case, and they go to see the newest victim. That's what I call her. She's our spicy detective. She is
What makes her spicy? Is it her personality, or is it
it's her personality.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were saying purse, and I was like, personality.
No, I'm trying to be like
Took
the cool kids. They say like Delulu instead of delusional, but then I realized, that's just
or like you got the Riz instead of charisma.
And then I'm like, you just said the name of a handbag. That's wildly confusing. And then
Sounds like the 1920s kind of slang. Like if you got the Riz instead of charisma. Okay,
he's got the Riz. You see,
you got the Riz, baby.
oh, Gordy, you got the Riz over there.
Oh my God. No, her personality, she's like, I'm here, I'm in charge, you guys can't take this away from me, be pissed off for women. And it's like, yes, queen,
love it. Hell yeah.
So our spicy lead detective, and then they go see the newest victim. They also go to the campus to talk to the older victims, who are the younger women. And between all of those interviews, they realize that the unsub knows real personal information about the victims. He knows their childhood pets' names, their favorite alcohol, their favorite vacation spots. So it becomes like, how is he choosing and also surveilling his victims?
So he can hack like all their passwords.
I mean, maybe. We're gonna find out. They go back to their hotel, and the spicy detective has decided to get a room in the hotel even though she lives in town. She's like, why be away from the work? We love to see the dedication.
Love it.
She also mentions that only 20% of rapes are reported, and obviously something must have happened with a victim to make him change his behavior. Down the hall, Elle is not doing well. She sucks, as we know, but Reed goes to try and talk to her, but she's super shitty to him and drinking straight vermouth.
Ew! What?
Yeah.
Wait, did production just have did they call it vermouth in the dialogue? Or did maybe the props department, they had a bad week, they didn't have time, and that's all they had, and they're like,
this is... hurry up.
Also, in Ohio, we're great drinkers in the Midwest. No one would dare.
Just tiny hotel airplane bottles of vermouth.
That's not what it's for.
I don't think it's for anything.
No, it's a mixer. It's a valid mixer in cocktailology. Gross. Yeah, but sometimes the bitter, you need it to counteract, but like you get it doesn't exist in isolation. I guess.
Yeah, it's super fucking gross. She's fucking awful. And then meanwhile, our unsub is stalking his next victim. The team delivers their profile to the police. Again, he's a power reassurance rapist. He targets a specific type of woman. He views his victims as relationships. He has access to them somehow. He'll have a job where he feels emasculated. And because of the range of victims, they're only able to narrow his age down between 20 and 40. But they say that there will definitely be an overlap for all of the women. Great. JJ looks into the idea of rapes that went unreported on the college campus and found that a female student had committed suicide almost exactly when the campus attacks stopped. Turns out she was attacked before her death and had become pregnant with the rapist's baby, which is why she killed herself. So they go back. They go back to the most recent victim and find out that she's trying to get pregnant with IVF. And guess what? All of the new victims are trying to get pregnant. They've all been to the same fertility clinic within 5 days of being attacked. Yeah, I know. He's trying to get them pregnant. So, meanwhile...
so he's like a hero in his mind.
In his mind, he's a daddy. You know, he's just an unfulfilled daddy.
He's like, you asked for this, ladies.
Yeah. He's giving them what they want. Literally, that is his thought process.
Oh my God.
You know. So, okay. Meanwhile, Elle is having flashbacks of her own attack from season 1. And she can't get her shit together. Why is she back at work? You know,
is Elle the vermouth lady?
Yes.
See, this is a metaphor for life.
Well, so she was shot in her house, and he wrote on the wall in her blood. So she was like, I could feel him inside me. And I'm like, okay, but like you weren't raped, and you are kind of making this all about you. While there's
the
rape
shooting
victims.
in the blood, right, in that. No, I get it. Yeah.
I just hate her so much. They could have made her a rape victim and I still would have been like, you're really making this about you.
And it's like, okay, you know, it's like, you think you need to get like shot like twice, 3 times before you get like a complete attitude disalignment? Like,
yeah. Like, girl, Hotch gets shot at all the time. He goes about his day, you know?
He goes about his day.
Hotch gets shot all the time.
Is Hotch the hot one that y'all like?
No, that's Morgan.
No, that's Shamar Moore.
I'm so sorry. I'm so rude.
How?
So sorry.
I don't know how you do that.
You guys bring me on here as like the relatable outsider.
Honestly, it's because you have really fabulous hair.
Stop it. I can't stop touching it. It's like a little
It looks so
greasy.
good right now. Don't think I didn't notice.
Thank you. Oh my God. Stop. And just like Elle, I'm like, let's make these rape victim stories about me.
Oh my God.
She's brushing it.
Okay.
So the team goes to the clinic and they find out that all the patients fill out a questionnaire with information that this guy knows about him. A quick call to Garcia. We find out that the same third-party direct marketing firm also handles the college's freshman orientation and medical paperwork. So he's obviously at the marketing firm. Off we go there. And they get so much paperwork from them, they start profiling what might flag a potential next victim. They find exactly one person. They go to her house, but the police don't enter because there's no reason to. They think like no one's there, but she is busy getting attacked.
Oh my God. At the same time?
Yeah. So
what a coincidence.
What a coinkydink.
Drama.
Elle has a full-blown breakdown yelling at our spicy detective, and Morgan is like, you need to back up, like, get your shit together, Elle. So they set up their own operation with Elle posing as the child-wanting single woman. Hotch and Gideon prep her and tell her that all they need is for this guy to break into her house, her fake house, so that they can arrest him and get his DNA to match it to the victims.
Oh my God, she's the rape bait. Oh my God.
She's the rape bait. And they tell her, like,
oh my God.
Don't wear your gun, right? Because he's going to come by, look at the house. Don't wear your gun. You just have to like leave your house so he can break into your house. That's it. That's all you have to do.
No
so
big deal.
She's like, great, on it. So flash forward, what does she do? Nothing
Brings
useful.
her gun. No.
She wears her gun. Yes, she does. She absolutely wears her gun while she goes to leave her house. And then she sees that this guy is parked across the street.
And she's like, I'm going to get him.
Yeah. Keep in mind, Morgan is like 2 cars back watching this whole thing happen. And the rest of the team is in a truck around the corner. Like, she's fine. And she pulls her weapon on him and is like, FBI, and they arrest him for using a map. Like, honestly, there was nothing to arrest him for.
He didn't go into the house.
Yeah.
So is this because she was triggered? Because she's like, I was shot once. Is it back to that again?
Yes. Literally, yes. So they have to let him go because there was nothing to hold him on because she fucked it up. And she like yells at Hotch for letting him go. And Morgan's like, dude, you fucked this up. Like, you need to calm down. Or no, Hotch said, you fucked this up. Gideon pulls her aside and is basically like, you need to get your shit together. Like, this was crazy.
Yeah.
So he's back out on the street, the unsub, right? And she goes and confronts him.
How? How does she
by stalking him? She went to his address.
She stalked the stalker. Uno reverse, bitch.
Yes. And shot
crazy.
She shot him point blank 3 times. Killed him.
Oh my God!
Tries to claim self-defense, but Gideon and Hotch are like,
What on earth does this fucking Ohio-ass vermouth-infused story have to do with the East Area Rapist original Night Stalker? What detail from this fucking TV episode has to do... I watched so many documentaries about this man, and I completely just was like, fuck the episode. I'm not falling for this gaslighting again. And now I'm listening to the plot. I'm like, what does it have to do with it?
Well, because he raped a bunch of people. He changed who he was raping.
So rare, Veronica. I've been to a frat house before.
He called... We just call that a spicy Thursday. He called. Well, this one was the East Area Rapist because he calls them, and the East Area. Rapist
the calling.
Calls.
That's right. That's right. That's very creepy. Did not like
very unique thing to do.
Before we get into our case, though, we do have Kristen back. She wanted to come see you again.
Kristen! Oh my God! It's so good to see you again.
Missed you.
Okay, so Kristen is back to talk to us about rape.
Oh, God. Yeah. I know. Yay.
You sound so excited.
I'm not.
So the episode says that only 20% of rapes are reported.
Okay.
Which I think
I was like, oh, girl.
Under. What is happening?
I'm sorry. I adjusted, and then like my ass cheek went to. No one saw. Okay.
I'm going to.
Stacey saw, and it was so rude. We have Kristen, our very educated and smart friend, who took notes for us, and now I'm just like ass flashing, and then trying to play it cool.
Alyssa, you already said you were going to make all of these rape victims about you, and I think you just successfully did it. Here's my ass.
Yeah.
She was asking for it. Huh?
Okay. Asking for it?
Oh my God.
So stupid.
Y'all are having a good time.
Yeah.
What's more fun than talking about rapes?
Okay, I need to hear these stats.
Morning.
I need to ruin this laughter with tears.
I know. This is basically what I'm going to throw at you. It's just a lot of numbers. But V, what were you saying? You said you think 20%. What was your guess?
I think that's high. I think it's less than, because I don't think that includes male rape.
Oh.
Which I think is almost negligible of like reportings.
So I'll tell you where I got most of my data. So I looked at this organization called RAIN, and they stand for the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network.
Ew.
And where I know, what a title, right? But where they get most of their data is from the Justice Department or other departments within the federal government. And also they look at other data outside of the government. They try to aggregate as much as they can because this is such a complicated topic. So just let you know where they get their stuff from. And this is mainly where I pulled my data from, because it seemed like they tried to take it from the most reputable sources and make it into one little package. So a lot of my numbers are coming from them. Something else about the data, a lot of it wasn't new. Like the newest was 2020, but a lot of it was like 2005, 2010. So the numbers and the stats I'm going to give you aren't exactly up to date. I don't know how often the Justice Department puts out their surveys, but it's less than once every 10 years, apparently.
So I think this episode was 2006.
Okay. All right. So the numbers I'm going to give you should match about the episode then. Yeah.
Perfect.
So I'll start with the prevalence and the victims.
Can I ask you a question, and you may not know the answer?
Yeah.
You said that they took from the justice system, which I'm assuming means prosecuted cases, not...
But they do have those numbers.
And do they have recanted cases, or no?
Not that I saw. Not that I saw, but they might.
Cool.
Yeah. So Yeah, the Justice Department put out a survey, and I don't know if they did it repeatedly or not, but they put out a survey basically trying to get as much data about rape and rape victims as possible. So a lot of it comes from the Justice Department survey, from what I could tell. But again, they pulled from other areas too, so I'm not entirely sure how they aggregated, but you can go look at the references if anyone is interested. Okay, so if we start with prevalence and victims, this is kind of nuts. So every 68 seconds, an American is sexually assaulted. So about one a minute. Every 9 minutes, an American child is sexually assaulted. Yep. So, starting off strong, you guys. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah. So 1 in 6 victims are women, and then 1 in 33 are men.
Wait. 1 in 6 of total victims, and then 1 in 33? Then who's the rest?
Sorry. Just in general, if we were to count 6 women, there's 6 women in a room. 1 in 6 have been. No, that was my bad.
I didn't mean to be that bitch in the class. Question. I didn't mean to be that chick in the class. It's like, teacher, actually, that technically doesn't make sense.
No, so good. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying. Yeah, if you had 6 women in a room, one of them is likely to have been a victim of rape or attempted rape. And then if you have a group of 33 men, 1 in 33 men is a victim of rape or attempted rape.
And that's just reported.
Well, so not necessarily. The way they look at the data, so do you guys know how survey data works?
Kind of,
I
yeah.
know that you do.
I mean,
a little bit.
You do. You tell us.
So they'll send it out. They send it out to as many people as they can. But essentially what they do is they try to say like, oh, we want this many people from this area. We want this many people from this demographic. And they try to get as much of the bubble as they can. But then what they'll do, you're not going to get 100% right. But what they'll do is based on the amount of people they got from that bubble, they'll look at it statistically. So they'll say, out of these numbers that we got, we are statistically likely to be able to say that 1 in 6 women are a victim of sexual assault. So that's how they do it. They take a population sample, and then from that, they extrapolate using statistics. Yeah, so that's what they do when it comes to surveys. Okay, so like all the numbers I just gave you, it equals over 500,000 Americans a year are sexually assaulted. That's what that equals. Right.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
That's a lot of Law and Order SVU episodes, you know what I mean?
In perpetuity. I mean, forever.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So 90% of sexual assault victims are female, and the vast majority are under 30.
So I'm safe.
Oh, yeah, we're safe.
That's
Oh my God.
rude, honestly.
I agree.
Honestly.
I'm still in my prime. Where are the attackers?
This part was interesting to me. So then it kind of talked about like where the rape or attempted rape occur, and almost half the women are sleeping or at home. So half of the rapes, the women are in their home, which was surprising to me. I don't know why I thought it would be opposite, but yeah, mostly in their home. 30% the women are, well, I don't want to say women, victims are traveling from or to work, school, or errands. So 80% is either at home or traveling, like for your day.
For the at-home ones, did they speculate as to like if a lot of that's like domestic, like people already in the house, or like things like the EAR?
Alyssa, coming through with the good questions.
Oh my
So
God.
I do have some numbers on that, which is the perpetrators. So 33% of the perpetrators, it was by an ex or current romantic partner. So I'm assuming that would contribute to the higher numbers of it occurring in the home. 40% of the perpetrators are acquaintances. And then 20% is done by strangers. So the majority is acquaintances, then ex-romantic partners, and then strangers, which is kind of wild.
I'm sure that they don't have this stat in there, but like I would love to know what percentage of these perpetrators have wives and families, because I swear all the people on these shows, these fucking raggedy old dudes committing rapes and murders and child kidnappings, all have women that love them and have committed themselves to them and like a full-blown family and shit.
For real.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that sort of suggests to me, like, they know the difference between right and wrong, right? Because they're not living a life of, like, outward debauchery or outward, like, going against the law, right? Like, they can fake it. They know what they're supposed to do. They know, like, how to pretend. Like, they know. Yeah. That would be interesting to look at. How many of them are living double lives, essentially?
Yeah, right. Because as women, we don't know these stats off the top of our heads, like to the degree, like, thank you, Kristen, for like taking the notes. But like, we know we know like the 1 in 6, like we know some of these in like the general sense in our bones.
Right.
And it's so fucking crazy to me. And sometimes I'll think about, because you know, they'll say like, just as like one hyperbolistic metaphorical example, like 2/3 of us are related to Genghis Khan or whatever. And it's like, it's not because Genghis Khan was just so goddamn handsome. You know what I mean? It's like how far in all of our family trees do we need to go back to find a rape conception? And then you look around and you're like, there's a lot of rape of everybody, men, women, and children. Right. And it's like, that is...
Well, I would guess not even that far back, because if you think about marital rape, it didn't used to be considered rape. So that
wasn't even qualified.
The 60s, 70s.
Yeah, that's right.
You know?
Yeah, marital rape of, the empathy for women had to be learned over time, and we're still fighting the good fight. And then you're just like, fuck, man. Like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a really sad there was a couple studies I looked at, and essentially they were looking at if rapes are more reported now than they were in the 90s. And I saw 2 articles that basically said none of the numbers are changing. They're the same as from the 90s as they were now. But the now was like early 2000s. So I don't know what 2023 looks like.
I want to see the post-Me Too stats.
Oh,
totally.
yeah. Completely.
That's what would be sick. But it seems like from what you were saying, Chris, it kind of takes a while to get some of this data aggregated and shit.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, to get it accurate and as accurate as possible. But, okay, so back to the perpetrators. Half of them are 30 or older. And if you remember, the majority of victims are under 30. And half of the perpetrators are over 30. Which is very interesting to me. Over half of them are white. These are American statistics, by the way, too. Over half of the perpetrators are white. About 1 in 3 have a prior felony conviction, but half of them have at least a prior conviction. So not a felony, but they do have a history of breaking the law in some way.
Not giving a fuck.
Yep. Yeah. About half of them are going to be released before their trial. And then it was a small number. I want to say about 10% of them will commit another crime before their trial. So those who were released, 10% of them are going to commit them. Yeah, it was kind of wild. In general, the perpetrators, if they're convicted, will serve about 3 to 4 years in jail. That is the average if they're convicted of a sexual assault. And then this leads us into the actual convictions. How much are reported, how many people are convicted, and these numbers are fucking tragic. So if you look at the justice system, God, you got 1,000 assaults, 1,000 sexual assaults. About 300 of those are reported to police. So it's about 30% from what they're saying. About 30% of sexual assaults are reported. 50 of those 300 lead to an arrest. 28 of those arrests lead to a felony conviction, and 25 people out of 1,000 reports are going to be incarcerated. So on average, I looked at a few studies, but about less than 1% of people who are accused of sexual assault go to jail. Less than 1%.
And that's all assaults, right? Not just rape.
Correct. Sexual assaults in general.
God, that's so fucking tragic because, like, I get it, because, like, obviously all the things that are, like, stacked up against women, like, perception-wise, but then on top of it, it's the whole, like, innocent until proven, I don't know why I'm putting that in quotes, are the basis of our justice system, but, like, innocent until proven guilty, because it's like, how do you prove a rape? It's really hard if it's not, like, in front of, like, a fleet of eyewitnesses and security cameras, because, like, when and how, and it's like, should we get, like, little, like, the Diva Cup, like, get a little pussy dash cam or something? Like, how are you gonna fucking
prove it?
A little webcam on your panties,
like a bush cam.
like a bush cam. Yeah, you clip it in. It's real small. Like, because otherwise, like, how? Like, what could we even do? Like, as ridiculous as that sounds, like, is that the most viable fucking option? Like, what?
We could bring back those
of like robberies and stuff compared to rapes, is that the percentage of total crimes that occur? Is that the percentage of crimes that are reported?
It's out of 1,000 robberies.
Oh, okay.
So like sexual assault, out of 1,000, they have 25 who are going to get convicted. Mm-hmm. Out of 1,000 robberies, they have 20 people who are going to get convicted. And this ends up being less than like 1%.
Got it. That's what I'm really glad that you bring that up, because sometimes it's like the weight of the world feels so heavy, and there are so many like legitimate cultural learnings and misunderstandings when it comes to like building empathy and understanding for women after a history of not giving too many fucks about them. And I feel like it's nice to have that in perspective, that it's not all the stats are still so tragic, but it does make it feel like a little less personal. I don't know if that makes any sense. Yeah, a little less
directed at women.
Yeah, and I think it's good to have that healthy perspective. The fact that it's just like, no, everything's broken. Somehow that's better in my heart. Somehow.
Right.
That's cool.
Yeah. I think the numbers that are important here are that like things aren't getting better since the 90s. Like reporting hasn't increased, right? If we're going to look at, because that's kind of what we're asking here, is why aren't people reporting it? So the fact that hasn't necessarily gotten better. But like you said, post-Me Too movement would love to see that. Like maybe if the reports at least start to go up. So they asked these victims why, like, you wouldn't report. And 20% of them said that they feared retaliation, which makes sense because the majority of sexual assaults are by an acquaintance or an ex-romantic partner. So it's somebody that you know, it's somebody in your group, it's somebody that your family and friends know. You know, that probably encompasses everybody in your life when it comes to the retaliation.
Jason's
so that was the biggest percentage.
Yeah, how could you say something bad about Jason? He's
right.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Ooh. The next one, it said 13% believed the police wouldn't do anything to help, which, given the numbers, they don't do much to help. 13%, no, it's not wrong. 13% believed it was a personal matter, which I thought was interesting. So they wanted to take care of it on their own.
Like they were going to sneak into his
vigilante
house and
justice?
Castrate him?
God, I have no idea.
Personal matter?
Maybe. 8% believed it was not important enough to report. 7% didn't want to get the perpetrator in trouble. 30% gave another reason or did not cite one reason, which I think that was the highest percentage, and that makes sense because think about how complicated a sexual assault is for an individual. And Alyssa, you talked about it earlier. You talked about there's shame and guilt wrapped around that because of the social perspective, right? Then we have that the perpetrator is somebody you know or somebody you dated. Then you have the justice system who isn't going to help you, given the numbers. There's not much they're going to do for you. It's probably not going to lead to conviction. So I think the 30% citing for other reasons is probably a combination of so many things, right? It's a difficult question to answer why people aren't reporting, and it makes sense why the numbers aren't increasing because there's so many factors that contribute to why you wouldn't report. But those are all the numbers I got for you. Thank you. So it's complicated. It's social. It's logistic. There is also, I should mention this, it depends on the state because I was trying to find the numbers, but the numbers for each state is different. But in a lot of states, there's a backlog of rape kits. And that is kind of like evidence point number one for someone to be able to prosecute. So there's these backlogs of evidence. And these are women who have come forward and reported their sexual assault. These are women who didn't take a shower, who went straight to the hospital, who, had to be basically re-traumatized all over again to go through the rape kit, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And then it sits there. There was one state, their Justice Department said, we destroy the rape kits after a certain amount of time if they're not tested. So they were actually destroying rape kits because they weren't going to get through it because they needed to make more room. So in the prioritization within the justice system, it sounds like space was more important than getting those rape kits through. Yeah, which is fucking so crazy.
I would train up to be a tester. Like, you know what I mean? There has to be I would do that all day, every day. Like, let's go. That could be my job. I just log rape kits. So
I wonder what the cost is. Because there's, in my mind, I'm like, what is the reason?
Doesn't DNA testing take a long time too, typically?
Does it? I have no idea.
Unless it's put on like a rush. DNA testing usually takes like 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, it's like 10 days with a rush.
So I would assume that it's an amalgamation of a bunch of stuff, like the DNA testing taking a while. It's also expensive too, from what I remember. Like DNA testing is expensive.
That's probably a big linchpin in it. Yeah,
exactly. And states aren't putting enough time and funding and energy into it. And then on top of that, I bet you're also getting more reporting.
We're not getting more reporting. Stacey, we just heard about it.
Well, what I'm saying is, like, granted, more people are coming forward and reporting it, but are they actually, like, getting it into the system because of the test kits not going through?
We might have more test kits because there's more Americans. Like, the percentage might not be changing, but maybe the test kit numbers are going up.
That's what I'm thinking.
But here's my thing is, like, we just gave $3 billion to the LAPD so they could get armored fucking tanks. How about we put that $3 billion towards testing? That's their job.
Protesters are really dangerous, okay? At some point, we need to protect the police from the threats against their lives.
I understand.
And my cardboard sign might hurt their feelings because I am a very witty sign writer, okay?
I'm fucking sure
what is God to do?
Babes, I'm an ally. I don't leave my house because I am concerned about the police and their delicate sensibilities. But what I am saying is, if we're going to give law enforcement $3 billion, maybe they do a job. Like, test some fucking rape kits. How about we do that? And we see with our East Area Rapist that had someone followed up one time, it would have saved lives. Like, so, okay, should we grade Kristen? Always
Grade me.
Why do we grade Kristen? Kristen gets 100% every time. Okay, what is the...
Okay, this feels like biased.
You know, I am biased. I vote 100% for Kristen every time and 0% for your little Criminal Minds boy toy every time. And you know, why do I bother doing the show? Why do I have a take, I have a bias. I will not change. I refuse. I'm an American. I don't change my mind. 11 out of 10, your star, women in STEM. As far as rating the data, if I could rate the data itself, C-, no good.
Yeah, no bueno. Agreed. Boo.
Nah, boo to the data. Yeah.
I'll pass you two, I guess.
Hey, everybody.
They're like, I guess is for the setup change.
Amazing. Chris, Alyssa wants to come up to Reno.
Oh yeah.
We're going to have a live... I have been. I love Reno. Okay. We're going to go to Reno. We're going to do a live...
She loves the Silver Legacy.
I love the Silver Legacy! The El Dorado, Circus. We love it.
Circus. Okay. That's a different kind of Reno.
Okay. Well, Kristen, thank you so much for coming on and depressing
everyone. Thanks, you guys.
Everyone.
Nice to see you.
Thank you, Kristen. I'm depressed now.
Yay! Have a nice rest of your show.
Okay, so that was fun. So let's rate our stud muffin.
Oh, is it time?
It's time. Babes, it's your favorite time of the show.
Gimme more.
Everyone got this
juicy photo?
When, you tell me when.
Do we save her for last? Let's save her for last.
Okay.
I feel like I want to hear it.
Okay. Stacey, go first then.
Okay, out of 5, I'm going to rate
5
it
helpings.
3 helpings.
Okay.
Oh,
it's like right in the middle.
Go off.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
right
it?
in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm going to rate him a 4 because he's very beautiful and he's not doing anything weird with his face.
that's fair.
Objection.
She's like, whole face, weird. Your turn, babe. What is it?
Your turn.
There's nothing weird with his face. This pursed lip, caterpillar eyebrow, like eyebrows thicker than fucking Megan Thee Stallion's thighs, motherfucker. Like, his earlobes are low. We can start there. He's got low hanging lobes. Like they were
I don't like that. Low lobes.
They're low lobes. It's like they were gauged in the early 2000s to like a My Chemical Romance concert, and then he regretted it because he realized he was just going with the crowd. This fucking pensive. I don't like a man who tilts his head like a dog. I don't like that.
How else do you know that they're listening?
I don't like performative listening. Do you know how I know a man is listening? That he stares off into the distance past me and doesn't respond after I'm done talking. That's how a man listens. Veronica.
My bad.
That's so good.
But
what is that?
Cheekbones.
What is that?
Cheekbones.
I don't know if you're talking to me or
I'm
this
talking
man,
about you.
but thank you. But it's and here's the thing. His shirt is faded like it was purchased at a boutique, like it was been acid distressed washed. And I don't respect it. I don't like him. I don't like it. Also, I don't like a man with like a sideways tilted head with a glimmer in one eye. I don't know what that eye glimmer is.
That's the gaffer.
It totally is the gaffer. Do I have a glimmer in my eye?
Yeah.
And also just FYI, I'm never this mean to men in real life. I'm just hoping that I can engage people in the comments to be like, well, she's actually not that hot, that dumb bitch. Well, she's more of like a 6, so actually, and then you'll get the engagement from the rage. So like, you're welcome. But like, I just don't understand like conventionally attractive men. That being said, you know, I'll give him a 4 because I'm sure he's a nice person and looks aren't everything.
I'm dead. Also, I'm sending you shirtless photos right now.
Oh my God, stop. Okay. Oh, wait, hold on. Veronica, this changes everything.
That's what I'm saying.
See, you're not giving me the stuff that I would like.
I can never tell what you would like.
No one does. Veronica, thank you for all these pics. There's this upper back piece, right? Yeah. And you can't really see, but there's like a man who's giving the same side eyebrow cocked ear to you look that he loves to give. Oh no, there's 2 men. And I don't know what that's about.
I think it says Carpe Diem. And there are 2 men.
As someone with a very embarrassing back tattoo, I like him now. Now he's not.
We saw your ass. Can we see your back tattoo?
It's so embarrassing. Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Take my top off. I will not show my titties. I don't know if you can see it.
Shut the fuck up.
Life.
Wait, I need my... So it says Slug Life.
Oh my God.
Oh,
and it's like it's bigger than you think.
No, it's huge.
It's so guys don't come too quick. No, it's not. Oh my God. Hold on, let me put my shirt back on. I'll tell you stuff.
Things have derailed.
Okay, am I the most naked person y'all have ever had on this podcast?
Yes.
You know what? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, huzzah.
I also like that you didn't like step away to turn it on. You just put it on camera.
So I wanted to get a fucking matching tattoo with my only brethren of seed, my brother Jared, right? And I just really, and he was all precious about it, and he was fucking holding over my head. He's like, no, Alyssa, I'm not like you. I value my body. I've never had a tattoo. Like, I just need to make sure it's right, and like, and I'm like, whatever, Jared, you can pick it. I don't give a shit. And then he played his card. He didn't give a fuck about whether or not he looks stupid. He picked the fucking Slug Life tattoo because when we were kids, allegedly, when we were like really small, my brother like found a slug in the yard and he was like, this is my pet slug. Oh, I love it so much. And then me as the maniacal older sister, honestly, this might be a good segue into our murder because this is behavior of people who usually end up being serial killers. I was like, hey, Jared, do you know what would be cool? Go get the salt. And then I watched and laughed as my only brother murdered his pet slug. And I'm sure he was crying and I thought it was hilarious. And then as payback for our matching sibling tattoo, that's what he chose. Slug Life.
Damn.
He played the long game.
And now it's on my back forever. I'm thinking about getting it covered up, but like every time I think of something, it's like stupider. So then I'm like, okay.
It's a funny story.
It's a funny story, but I also get that vibe from people when I tell it where they're like, should I be scared of her? That's like kind of fucked up. And I'm like, I was like 6.
Obsessed. Oh my gosh. So speaking of murdering living creatures.
Oh my God.
Should we talk about our man?
We should. Oh, DeAngelo. Why does he get a sexy name? So some of this was touched on in the episode recap, which is amazing because as we know, they have nothing to do with the original story. So once upon a time in the great state of California, which already downgraded the Criminal Minds, moved it to Ohio, a man by the name of Joseph James DeAngelo Jr. was living in California with, mind you, his wife and 3 is that your cat's ass? Ooh,
yeah.
Cute.
So much butt going on today.
She did not want to be left out.
This is a raunchy episode.
Truly.
Okay, so long story short, this dude, Mr. DeAngelo, throughout the state of California, starting in like 74 through like 86, like a solid decade of raping and murdering. He started out in Northern California, and like the rapes were the scary kind of rape, because you hear, let's rewind. All rapes are terrifying, right? But like normally, as we've heard from our statistics, a lot of it is like domestic stuff, someone you already know. It's usually a lot closer to home. This guy was going full blown from the movies. He would stalk his victims, learn when they were gonna be gone, and then like break into their house ahead of time, so there'd be a conveniently opened window, a conveniently opened door. He would hide his like rape tools, like he would tie up his victims' hands and legs in shit. He would hide the shoelaces he would do that with, which in my mind, you're like, you don't think shoelaces are that tight, but apparently this man was a Boy Scout, because he was ready to tie some fucking knots. And he would have his gun, he would just hide shit in the house, so then he'd come in, and it would all be like Ruth Goldberg machined, ready and set up to just like go in and do the thing. And this man like gets off on like the terror and the power and all that stuff. That was clearly evident in this guy, because not only would he call the victims after the fact, and like from the recordings, it would always be like, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you. Just like really fucking creepy shit. He would taunt the victims. He would call the police with similarly cryptic messages. And like worse, he would torment the men. He would play this cat and mouse game with the public. Whereas like he started out just raping single women, not like that they were single, but that they were alone, right? But then like in one media outlet, they started saying he's never attempted a rape where there was a man in the house. Next rape, he's like, oh, you think I won't? You think I won't? And then he goes after this house. And so now his new pattern is he'll go to a house where there's couples living together and sleeping together. He'll go in, shine a flashlight in your face, be like, don't scream or I'll fucking kill you. And then tie up the man. He'd put dishes on the man's back, like a little stack of little teacups. And he'd be like, if I hear these dishes clank, I'm going to kill your fucking wife and your kids. And then I'm going to kill you as you cry for the first time in your life, you man. And then rape the fucking woman. And then to just show the extent in which this guy was like just taunting the media, like just so much involved in this ego fucking narrative thing. There was a town hall meeting in Sacramento or wherever the fucking Northern California they were. And in the town hall meeting, just to kind of address the community, because it was so many rapes. At this point, I think it was like in Northern California, it had to be like in the 20s by now. And they'd be like back to back. And they would just be like people in their homes that they thought were locked and shit. Like it was really like you can't run, you can't hide. There's no amount of carelessness going into this. So, you know, the community's in shambles. And he went to this town hall meeting after this had been going on for a minute. And this one man went off because I think, you know, like when men feel powerless, men deteriorate. It's really, I think it's kind of hard for them. It's like, you know, men don't get a lot of love. I think a lot of men feel like that they don't get love or they're not deserving of love if they're not able to provide with something. So if you like can't provide and protect and you want to feel like you're not that guy. So this one guy stands up and he's enraged because there's like a powerless feeling in the collective of the community. And this guy goes off about how he's like, if this man comes into my house, I'm going to fucking kill him. I'm not just going to sit there with little teacups on my back. I'm going to fucking kill this guy. That night, this fucking DeAngelo guy goes in his house, ties him up, rapes his wife. And that's the scary thing. This DeAngelo guy, some random ass white dude, waltzed into this town hall meeting and was there and watched the shit and was like, yeah, bitch, watch. You know what I mean? Yeah. Right. And it's like, and that's kind of like the theme of like, you know, I think he was kind of able to like waltz into different, even like, I think they were saying some precincts, etc. Anyways, long story short, this is going to be a quick recap because I know I'm going to be missing some details and I really want to hear Stacey and Veronica, y'all's filling in of my gaps.
I love it.
He moves down to Southern California. He has a stint in NorCal, a stint in SoCal, and a stint in Center Cal, and that's definitely what people call it.
Center Cal.
Yes. The Wino Land. So basically, he never killed up until this point. He's in SoCal. A few people escape, and that, you know, man of big ego could not have happened, and that kind of transcends him into his realm of murdering the victims. So it's a lot of like brutal raping, murdering, all that. And he's just trying to like make them as scared as possible, right? And that's kind of the extent of it. We end up with game stats of 13 total murders, 51 rapes, and 120 burglaries across California. The burglaries, typically not things for extensive monetary value, typically things that are just like, this will really piss them off if they lose this sentimental item. Just a real havoc shaker. But the thing that's the most interesting about this story is the fact that like documentarians and white women on their computers have become the new cops, it seems like, because no one can solve a fucking crime without a determined white woman in her laptop or a documentarian trying to get an Emmy. No one else is solving crimes. And, you know, I'm watching these documentaries because Patton Oswalt's wife basically dedicated decades of her life to, like, collecting and kind of putting together this murder and it was really difficult because back in the day, precincts used to not really communicate and share data a lot. It seems to me, this wasn't like explicitly said, but it seemed that there was almost like some rivalry, some like fraternal, like, nah, the precinct 102 is gonna beat you. And instead of like, no, we have a job to solve crimes, let's just share evidence, whatever. So this man had like 4 different names. And what they weren't necessarily thinking that it was the same guy, because he would take like a 5-year break between his Northern California and Southern California stint. Like there's so many different names, like people weren't necessarily putting it together. Like if you give a woman the internet and some coffee and a fucking
spite
and a little bit of spite, god damn, bro. She like started this book, and now to be honest, I kind of became a little bit of an asshole because I was watching the beginning of this documentary, and it's Patton Oswalt's wife. We love Patton Oswalt, great fucking comedian, the voice of Ratatouille, and they keep talking about his wife, and he keeps getting interviewed in these documentary exposés, and he just keeps talking about the work, and they keep saying like the wife of Patton Oswalt, and then they interview him, and I'm like, where the fuck is the interviews with
you
this?
Didn't know.
I didn't know. I was like, why do they keep interviewing Patton? The gall of these documentarians to try to capitalize off a comedian's fame, interview the wife, and then they're like, she died during her pursuit. And I'm like, that's why they didn't interview her. That's why. Yeah, no, it makes sense. And I really said, and I was like, this is why, Alyssa, we don't jump to judging people while we're PMSing, because that was really rude of you. And it's so sweet, and it broke my heart because sweet Patton, when he talks about his wife, like
you could just see how much he loved her.
You can just tell he fucking loved her, and he just describes like her mind, the beauty in which he described what some people might call like an obsession. He was like, she just had like such a mind for like these facts and like a heart for justice, and like you could tell he like appreciated how smart she was, and you could also tell, and not in a way that he was like bitching about it, but you can tell that like her dedication to this case put strain on their marriage, because when she got the book deal, it was like a lot of, it is so interesting to see a very successful touring comedian talk about the strain that his wife's travel schedule put on their marriage, because usually it's the other way around, but like that's how seriously she was going from NorCal to Central Cal to Low Cal to, and just like retracing the steps of this man, and the way he talked about how just like, oh god, it breaks my heart that she had to die and that their love had to be broken apart. I hope they find each other in the afterlife. I cried this morning. It was so tragic. And then I thought about and then I was like, oh my god, a love ruined by death. It's so tragic. And she died. The most beautiful part of it is she died in the middle of her investigation, and it truly was like her work, I believe, that kind of like helped a lot of what was going on. I don't actually remember the degree at which it was her part of the investigation that led to his eventual capture. I think it was like 40 years later, like a long ass time. And like sweet Patton, the most beautiful, like finished her book for her.
Yeah.
And like,
oh my god,
he's not a man short of work in his own field and with his own dreams. And he just, oh my god, it could, like, bless him so much. What a fucking sweetie.
Stories like that just crush my little heart,
because it's just good people being good, sharing love, and there's nothing that can save you from life's hard kick in the nuts. It's so sad.
Not to I really hate talking about sometimes about the reason why these people who rape do the things that they do because it feels like an excuse. But you said that you wanted to know more about like his childhood. Well, yeah. So it was reported. Oh God, there's no weird way to talk about this. This transition is not maybe. So that happened, and then it was also reported that he was abused by his father, and then during his high school time is when he committed a bunch of burglaries and tortured and killed animals, and that's like during his teenage years, which is interesting to me because from there, like he transitions from these thefts and torturing and killing animals to I'm going to join the Navy. And he joins the Navy. Yeah. And he was in the Navy for like 22 months during the Vietnam War and then became a police officer. What gets me is like the transition of like I'm killing animals, I'm doing all these bad things, I'm burglarizing to I'm going to join the Navy and everything's fine now with my life.
Well, we see this a lot actually with serial killers. They really like uniforms. Ted Bundy really want like the cop uniform. Dahmer was in the army. BTK was a compliance officer. They like the power and the respect that those positions and specifically uniforms hold. With uniforms, there's a thing where the uniform is so like you see the uniform, right? Like you'll see like a Navy man guy in his like dress uniform. You will remember that you saw him and you will not be able to say what he looks like because you are looking at the uniform. So it's a way to stand out but blend in.
Yeah. Interesting. He was also a mechanic.
Which would be good in the Navy. That's a very like highly skilled. And then also when they get out, they have ready jobs as cops. A lot of retired servicemen go into law enforcement.
Yeah. So that's kind of what happened during his childhood for you.
Got it. Very, very interesting. Because then it's like, you know, I'm sure you feel very powerless when you're a child in those situations.
Right. Well, and the rape was committed by 2 airmen in like a warehouse basically where his dad was stationed at the time. So
that's yeah, it was
so did you see how they finally caught him? It's a thing we've been talking about a lot on this podcast.
Can you fresh my memory? Because I feel like I feel like I kind of missed some of that.
Yes.
It was DNA evidence based, right?
Yes, correct.
It was familial DNA.
Familial
come
DNA.
Up a couple times recently on this podcast.
Yes.
The detective who had the case from like 94 was like all like 23andMe. This one was a different one. I forget what it was called, like Jetty.com. It was something weird.
Exactly. Yes.
Like that. Yeah. We're starting to pop up a lot. And he was like, you know, we have all of this DNA evidence that like they ran through CODIS and didn't hit. So I also think that law enforcement and military should be forced to give over DNA. They already have to do their fingerprints.
Yeah, how are they not?
They just
aren't. So he was like, let's upload it and see. And they got a spread of like 10 relatives, basically, that could be related to this person. And they narrowed it down to like 5 guys that fit the profile, the time, the age.
So there's like other people who'd been to jail in the family?
No, not even jail, just like who could be related to, like,
it was through Ancestry.com?
Basically, yeah.
It was like 23andMe.
Oh my God.
And then they started like surveilling, and then they realized DeAngelo was like the prime suspect, and they started like watching him. He was put under surveillance.
You know?
And they went through his trash, and they took a Kleenex, took the DNA from that, and it was a 100% match. And they went and arrested him.
Shit.
And you know what's crazy?
And they arrested him during COVID.
Yeah. This happened in 2018 or 2017 when they started to really...
God.
Oh, I was like, that's not when they arrested him.
No. It's 2017 is when Paul Holes was the detective. That's when he uploaded the DNA from one of the crimes from like Ventura County, a rape kit, to... Oh, it was GED match. GED match.
Okay.
Yes,
Wow.
that was the website that they used. And that is when they made the familial DNA connection. And then in 2018, they collected a DNA sample from his car handle. Whew. And then another from the tissue. And then they were able to get that more conducive DNA match to make the arrest.
Have they ever done like an interview with him post being captured, arrested, etc.? Like, has he ever spoken to his crimes?
Not that I've seen. There was the statement he made in prison. I mean, or in court.
In court, yeah, where he said
he pled
sorry.
guilty.
Yeah, he pled guilty. It wasn't like a long sorry, but it was like a quick. He did say it, which doesn't make it. That was. I found that to be interesting because it begs the question, like, why? I don't think he thought he was going to get off, but it was very like quick.
Yeah, well, because he pled guilty so that they would take the death penalty off the table.
Right. But there's so many phases of life, you know what I mean? That he's so much older. He's like in his fucking chair and shit. So like, you don't know what kind of like come to Jesus or like, he's had a lot of decades to sit and think about what he's done. And I'm not saying he's like truly done the work to fully understand and feel all that, but like, you're a different person in 40 years time. You know what I mean? I think like 10 years ago, like, and I'm like, that was a lifetime ago. So like, I wonder, like, it would be so interesting to see him speak to his state of whatever, because it's just so horrific, you know?
Right. I mean, he's so old now, too. How much of that is left? Like,
yeah, that's true, too. Yeah, it's like, what's even...
What's all up there still, you know?
Right.
And how cognizant is he really?
So the whole thing is crazy, but the work that Michelle McNamara did for her book, and it's also an HBO show called I'll Be Gone in the Dark, I think brought it more to the awareness of the public, which anytime, especially with old cold cases, if it's in the public interest, cops are more likely to start looking at it again. She was talking to a bunch of cops, including Hulls, of like what they remembered, and she would bring up stuff that maybe they didn't even know from past cops in other jurisdictions, and kind of started the ball rolling again.
That's
of like,
cool.
Okay, great. And so this Hulls, who had had it now for like almost 20 years, was like, great, let's fucking do this. Let's like get some traction. And then he, you know, had the bright idea of like 23andMe, let's go, let's see what we get.
Damn.
That's really great for the victims, because like, you know, it's 40 years too late, but like, goddamn, it's the hierarchy of trust lost. Like when someone breaks into what you think is your locked home, like how do you ever go to sleep again?
Right. Yeah.
No, it's really living. I think that's why I honestly think rape is worse than murder, because of the living victim aspect and that violation of you're not even safe in your own body, your own home. Whereas with murder, at least the victim is no longer suffering.
Right.
And I think with rape, like we saw all of those victim testimonies in court, they just don't get over it. It's not something, I mean, you can work through it, but it's always there kind of a thing.
Totally, yeah.
So,
for sure.
But yeah, it's unfortunate that none of the rape victims got quote unquote justice. Like for them, they're like, he's off the street. I know where he is. He's going to rot in prison. Fuck him. But he was never charged with any rapes because of the statute of limitations.
Right.
Yeah, so that's our guy.
Wild.
A lot of them got to speak, though, and he had to listen. So.
Yeah, I love when she was like, I want you to look at me. She's like, fucking look at me. And he like would not.
Well, that's the interesting thing. And pardon me, this is going to sound really fucked up, but like, I'm sorry. Like a lot of the thing where it's like, I want you to look at me and know what he did. That's all like operating on the assumption that he gives a fuck. Yeah, that he has empathy, which like clearly he has an empathy problem. Like he doesn't give a fuck. He knew how much he was hurting people. He didn't fucking care. But the thing
he liked it.
He liked it.
But on the other side of the coin, I feel like someone with so little empathy, particularly for women, would like, as much as like maybe he wasn't like feeling the guilt and the sorrow of like, oh no, I did a bad thing, this does not seem like a guy who would enjoy even 15 minutes of straight women talking, much less like hours and hours.
Right.
The fact that he had to sit there in a chair and just hear amplified, shrill voices speaking at him was sweet, sweet justice in its own way. Like that's that's good.
Correct.
That's good stuff. Because you know, for him, that's hell. Like
Yeah.
Like, they should be playing this podcast in his cell on loop. Like, let's fucking go.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yes.
Yeah, he fucking sucks.
I love women talking, for the record. Love it.
Yes, you're like, they're shrill.
I'm just saying, he don't seem like the type.
Yeah.
Call me crazy.
No, for sure. For sure. What do you have coming up? Let's plug you. Let's stop talking asshole.
My God.
What shows you got? What you working on?
My God. The following month, I'm going to be in Chicago at the Comedy Vault Comedy Club the weekend of January 4th.
Ooh.
Come out. Check it out. Thank you.
Start your year off with some comedy.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to be all over later in January. I'm going to be at the Laugh Factory. I got all my dates on my website at alyssapoteet.com. You can check it out. So Veronica's coming to the screening of a pilot that I've been working on for goddamn ever. It's a hidden camera pilot where I like go undercover with hidden cameras to like City Hall and like the mayor's mansion and just all over. I'm eating shit out of a diaper. I'm fucking crying in the middle of restaurants. It's all just like complete embarrassment on behalf of me for you. And the sad thing is we can't release we're doing a little private screening. We have the trailer out. We are, promoting little clips, but we can't release the whole pilot yet just due to certain film festival stipulations. But if you're like, wow, my dad is the CEO of Hollywood and I'd love to see what genius this charismatic little whippersnapper's got cooking up, you can DM me at complete_Poteet. I will send you a private link to the episode so we can set up a meeting with your dad.
And what's the show called?
It's called Feet on the Street with Alyssa Poteet.
Oh, I love it.
And it's fun and it's great. And like, oh my God, look how delightful I am, guys. Like, we've been doing this for a long time. Thank you. You're delightful and beautiful and have great deductive reasoning skills. Stacy, compliments.
So many compliments.
And I don't know how we even talked about Veronica's hair at this show. Maybe it's a moot point at this point, but she's got the hair
and eyebrows and glasses, and you've got the teeth.
All of it. Why we're not on TV yet, I don't know, but it's hard out here. So I've resorted to straight begging on people's podcasts. Like,
amazing.
Yeah, if your dad's the CEO of Hollywood,
hit us up and
send me. Call. I'm waiting for Hollywood to be a call-in. So just
done.
Veronica slide into her DMs.
Take a small finder's fee.
That's right.
But real talk, also, if you're just like a normal chump and you like hidden camera comedy, feel free to DM me. I'll send you the episode. I don't give a shit.
I'm excited. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us again.
So fun.
We'll be sure to have you back. You're one of our faves.
You are one of our faves.
Stop it.
It's the hair.
It is the hair. And she's good at posing.
Oh my gosh. For everyone else, like, subscribe, download, whatever the kids say, comment, share, whatever. And join us again next week for another episode of Criminal Gines.
Criminal Gines. It's short for vagina.